Hey Gemini, it's Empress Rose here. Welcome to your reading. These are general readings. Take what works, leave what doesn't. And if I don't catch your energy signature or wavelength on this one, go check your other major placements. There will be an extended. And today we're doing the Oracle decks only for the YouTube portion. And then over on Vimeo, and hopefully I remember to put the link in the description box, we'll be doing a more traditional tarot spread. I just haven't worked with my Oracle cards lately, and I was missing them quite a bit. So we'll see what these Oracle decks come up with today for you, Gemini. All right. Anything else from this deck? It's been... No, this deck is shut. The only card we got. Emotions are running high. So you know how you feel? You know how you feel. It's very obvious. There's something that is not exactly hidden. It's just, this is super moon. It's just really close. Everything's in large print and it's right up in your face. Let's see. There we go. Super moon. It's big. It's big. And it might be big because there's nothing in the way. The feelings are what the feelings are. Emotions are running high. There's intensity. It's so close. This would be a moon that would actually look good on a camera, a picture. Most of us, our little cameras, we're like, oh, look at the moon, and then it does not look all that interesting. All right, what do we have? Okay. We have redirection. We have something that looked good, looked right, looked like it was gonna really, this was the thing, this was it. But as soon as spirit moved, as soon as unexpected situation arose, it actually fell apart. But what we've grasped here is something else. This is the real deal. This thing right here. This thing doesn't work. This thing is not functional, is not working. These people over here are like, hey, where are you going? What happened? Come back. You know, we had this great idea and it was all going well, but you saw sort of the writing on the wall. You figured out that this actually isn't as advertised. This looks like a hot air balloon, but it is in no way a hot air balloon. In fact, it was meant to come apart and meant to blow into pieces. You've grabbed onto, or will be grabbing onto, taking a leap of faith over here, grabbing onto something that's actually, this actually functions. This actually is going to work. This part of the dandelion is not going to fall apart. It's designed to, this part, its whole purpose and design is to go the distance, is to go land somewhere. This is viable. This is not. This only looked viable, but this is viable. So this is something, this is sort of an alternative plan, or this is a unexpected twist. Unexpected plot twist that actually gives you exactly what you originally intended. You thought this was going to bring you somewhere, and you may have to be going alone, going solo on this. But whatever you've grabbed onto, well, no, because this other one is here. So whatever you've grabbed onto here, this actually has real potential. But the thing is, you wouldn't have grabbed onto this if you hadn't gone on this path. So this was not, and see, it's a new direction. I always like to call it redirection because I have a little 6th grade boy in my head that can't handle saying new direction all the time. So I like to say redirection because, and I think it's actually more accurate because this is, you were meant to be here. This was not a mistake. This idea, it was a good idea. It looked like a good idea. It looked like it was going to go somewhere. It was not a mistake. But what it was the original plan. It was meant to get you into the position, into this position, because you wouldn't have grabbed onto this if you'd stayed on the ground. You wouldn't have grabbed onto this if you wouldn't have come up with this new plan if you hadn't gone on this adventure. So this adventure was not wrong. This adventure was exactly what you were meant to be doing. So we don't need to look back at the past and be like, oh, I messed up really bad over here. But the thing is, it put you in perfect position to grab onto something that's real, something that can go the distance. Speaking of going the distance, we have my dear friend here. So this is a companion card about a companion, and it has a companion card earlier on in the deck. So earlier on in this deck, this is 47. Earlier on in this deck, you meet this deer, and there's sort of an immediate connection. You understand that this is with you, that this is that there's an immediate connection, and there's a sense of belonging that happens right away, right? Maybe met this deer at a party. So this is, decades later, we've grown together. Maybe this person hasn't been with you every single step of the way. Maybe they haven't been physically with you, but this is about the longevity of a relationship. And it might be a romantic relationship. It might be a platonic relationship. It might even be an activity that really resonates with you that you've been doing for a long time, off and on. Maybe you don't do that activity every day, but this is something that's got a lot of longevity. And that was an interesting way that I phrased this, that I had never phrased this before, but this thing can go the distance. This thing can go the distance, and in fact already has gone some distance. So my dear friend here, and you know how you feel about this. I mean, emotions are running high. There's a leap of faith here. There's a unexpected twist. There's, quite unexpected. Like, this was expected to be something, and this is not expected. But you've grabbed onto that. So we're either talking about something that has been, we're talking about something that has been in your life for a while. And then we have no rain today. So this is my Be Here Now Ram Dass card. No rain today. So this is just about being very present, being in the present moment, which I think is what allows you to see this opportunity and to take this opportunity. These guys over here that are panicking and freaking out are stuck a little bit in the past. They're way back. They're like, this is supposed to work out. We're still here. We're still committed to this. And you're like, this isn't what it looks like at all. And so they're just like, where are you going? What are you doing? You agreed to this. We said we would do this. And these people are still clinging to an old idea, clinging to the original idea. Which to you is just very obvious to you that this is not working. So this, and they're frustrated. They're like, you're bailing on us, on this plan, on this thing. You're not doing, that's not part of the plan. And you're like, well, look at the plan. Have you guys looked at the plan lately? So this is more of a being in the present moment energy and letting some sort of original plan or original idea go, because it's not going to work. And you can see that. So then you're moving on to something that will work. Whatever you've got right now does have a lot more real world potential than what's gone on before. And so no rain today. Okay, so this is about being in the present moment when it's sunny, embracing that, embracing things when they're going well. And yeah, there's been some rain, there's been some clouds, there's been some issues here. But if it's not today, then don't live back there. Right? This is again about being in the present moment. Your opportunities are happening right now in the present moment. And there is this past, there is this, I want to say, cloudy, rainy past. Of course, I adore the rain, so I'm always confused when it comes in as like, no rain today. Well, that's a bummer. I guess I have to go do stuff and be productive instead of sit down and read a book in front of the fire. But that's how I feel about it. But no rain today. Okay, I understand that the general concept of this card is like, when it's sunny, and embrace that and go with that. And yeah, maybe there are clouds coming, maybe there are clouds in the past, but enjoy what you can enjoy. Be happy with what you have. Like, Is this the original plan? No, but be happy with this plan because it is going somewhere. And then this could be seen as these clouds, and this is like the sunshine, and this is what's actually clear. And then we also have, no rain today. We have clarity. So embrace the clarity. Understand that you do now have clarity, and you do now have direction. It's a real direction, and it has some sort of connection to something that's longer term. But see, this is like the new direction, right? The redirection. My dear friend has to do with some sort of historic energy, historic relationship. So maybe it's shifting. Maybe a long-term relationship is shifting here into some sort of different aspect that that actually has more of a actually is functional. Because this new thing has the longevity, but we're talking about longevity here. And so there's either a shift in a long-term relationship where we go in a different, we utilize it very differently than we have been before. We access it very differently than we have before in a way that's a lot more functional. Or we're leaving behind a long-term thing that's been with us for decades, because both of these have this mind aspect to it, where we have this, something looks like it makes sense. Right, and you're leaving your friends behind here. Or these people that you've partnered with for a long time. Because this dear friend has this longevity to it, but this redirection or this new direction. So it's either a relationship shifts to something more realistic, or you're leaving something that's been part of your life for a long time. But there's clarity here. You're really clear that what's been going on isn't working anymore. So it seems like there's just a shift here. All right, let's see what the crows have for us. Okay. Exposed. This has you separated from the group again, much like this, separated from the group, feeling vulnerable, and maybe not even necessarily like you're about to be eaten alive and devoured alive, but this feels very vulnerable. You feel very sort of a little bit isolated, a little bit out here on a limb here, out here on your own. Here's your group back here. And in this isolation or in this separation, you feel vulnerable, you feel, vulnerable to not just to attack, to exposure, to, right? That sense of vulnerability, what are we vulnerable to? What are we, because it's not necessarily like attack, but it is, that's the basis of vulnerability, is feeling like we don't have our team with us, like we're way out here off by ourselves doing something totally different. But it makes sense to you. And yet it has you feeling very uncomfortable. And you feel uncomfortable here. It's not that the decision's wrong, it's just that you're feeling uncomfortable. And it could be any level of exposure, emotional exposure, feeling emotionally vulnerable. I wish I could say, I just want to say that this feels more vulnerable to me. This has you in a very vulnerable position. That's how you feel, even though the reality is, from a bird's eye view, from a bigger view, we've got this sense that this actually is a lot more functional. But staying with the group wasn't working, and so you've gone off on your own here. Staying with some sort of team isn't really working, and now there's a sense of you're not feeling very safe with this. But it's fine for now, right? Stick with it for now, because if it's fine right now, we don't need to go borrowing trouble. So there's this sense of, what do I want to, there's a vulnerability. Like here, you've actually grasped something much more secure, much more functional, but yet you're feeling very vulnerable, this exposure, maybe parts of yourself being seen that you didn't want others to see. Because there's something very other here that is seeing you and seeing an opportunity. And maybe you might feel like someone's being opportunistic, like like someone's being very opportunistic and saw their chance and are pouncing at you. Here you are off on your own here, and this predator comes along. So you might be worried about a predator. There might not be one around, but you might be worried about about being used or being vulnerable to something. It might not, if it's not present today, don't worry about it. That's what I'm seeing with no rain today, but you're feeling it. You're feeling very vulnerable here. And then we have mimicry here. Come here, Scout. There's some sort of, like this raven or this crow has learned how to speak, and this dog is very confused. But it's looking like this a little bit, like something, right? And with these crows, we have confused, exposed, vulnerable. We have a lot of like, right? Like, are you being, like we have this predator here coming in, and then we have this sort of feeling of like, something doesn't feel right here, but I don't know what it is. It's not the original plan. That's for sure. And maybe this original plan, this is, maybe you're feeling like this thing is just a mimic, a sad copy of this big deal plan, and that this is just a sad copy. This card's here to tell you you're right where you need to be, and that this has possibilities. But we have this mimicry card here. So it looks like something else. It looks like something else here. So I think, and that's what it sounds like the same thing. It sounds exactly the same as something before, but it looks like something else, or that could be vice versa. It looks exactly the same as something else, but it sounds, there's something different. So in this situation of mimicry, where something's looking very similar to something else, and it has you feeling very vulnerable, very afraid, very worried, right? And then this even mimics the shape of this thing. This is the real thing, but it mimics this shape of this fake thing, this shape of this not functional thing. So something that you have here looks like something that has been dysfunctional in the past. So in this mimicry, so what's coming out at you, what's coming forcefully towards you, is all the ways in which something is exactly the way something else is, all the ways in which they're similar, all the ways in which they're the same. But it's not the thing, but you're worried that this isn't the thing that you want. Like what you want is like where you belong, your owner, or your sense of belonging to be calling to you. And what you have instead is this bird that probably wants your food. It has you feeling very vulnerable. Like in this one, you're the dog and the bird, right? And then this is like sounds good, sounds right, but what's the difference? And this one is feeling preyed upon. So the thing to do with this mimicry, though, is to look at the differences. What are the differences? Okay, so this bird is saying something that you've heard before. So, and that they're saying the words that make you feel safe, but is this the right thing? So we're listening, and I'm not even sure that, like, the way this card is confusing to me, I'm just about as confused as this dog. This card's confusing to me because what I'm seeing elsewhere is that what you've got in hand, what you've left behind was not the real deal, but this is the real deal. So we're having mimicry, and I think this has to do with something looking similar to something else in the past that didn't work out, that wasn't the real deal. So, but here we have the fake thing pretending to be the real deal. But what I'm seeing here is the real deal looks a lot like the fake thing to you, and that's causing a lot of confusion. So we're looking for the differences. We're looking for how it, is Scout said the same way? Is Come Here Scout like the same? Is it got the same tone? Has it got the same? What are the differences? Does the voice sound different? Right here we can see just visually there's a visual difference right here between who would normally be saying, the safe person to say Come Here Scout, and the not safe person to say. So there's a lot of sense of not feeling safe, having made a decision or having taken a route and not feeling necessarily secure and safe in this. And I guess the instructions I'm getting here are taking something one day at a time. And if it's not going bad, don't expect it to go bad, or not necessarily waiting, not being focused on when the rain clouds come in, but being focused more on where there is clarity, where there is sunshine, and where there is happiness, like being focused on that. You could be really keyed up, really anxious about something, because something looks similar to something in the past, and is it or isn't it? And you're just really keyed up. So the advice I'm seeing here is taking one day at a time. And mimicry has me thinking that you need to be looking for differences, not similarities. Like the similarities are all very obvious and on the surface. But what we're looking here for here are differences. What sounds different? What's not the same as what went on before, right? Because we're trying to be very present here. And we're trying to suss out whether something's exactly the same as something that we've already experienced, or if something's different than the way we've already experienced. And maybe this relationship, this longer term relationship is changing, is shifting. And there's this, so I'm not really getting like a clear like answer of like, yes, it's all fine. I mean, this is almost like, to me, this is as clear as we're going to get here, which is really funny. Emotions are running high, supermoon. There's a lot of clarity on how you feel, which might just be anxious and worried. We have you leaping from something that doesn't work onto and grabbing onto something that does work. But the advice is just to take it one day at a time. Look for the differences. Yeah, you're feeling vulnerable. You're feeling like this might not be vulnerable and confused, I think. And the answer here is just pay attention to your emotions one day at a time. Look for differences. But there is this reassurance with redirection that this is different. So, all right, Gemini, I hope that was helpful for you. Thank you so much for your likes, subscribes, and comments. And I'm going to go move over to Vimeo now and do a more traditional tarot spread. So see you guys in a while, or a few minutes, depending on what choices you make right now.